The Last Nights of the Frangipani Hotel, The Actor's Circle Book 2. Written by Bey Deckard. Narrated by Nick J. Russo for Dark Night Sound. Chapter 1. An Unexpected Guest. Above me, the light in the rusted lantern was saffron yellow, and its dim halo turned my bare chest and arms to gold. A cool night breeze feathered past, barely more than a weak breath, but it made me sigh and smile. I rocked the hammock slowly as I turned pages, my skin slick from the heat and the toes of one foot dug into flour-soft sand. Words and more words, written with depth and feeling, but they failed to hold my attention. The slow hush-hush of the surf, as it licked up the beach, had more significance to it than anything that could be penned. I set the book down on my stomach, laced my fingers behind my head, and stared up at the endless blue-black sky. Despite the lantern shining over my head, I could see the stars, and I watched them wink and glitter at me while I debated getting another beer out of the little refrigerator in my hut. For a while I just lay there, swaying and sighing. Too languid. Was it the heat or the beer that had drained me? I peered over the edge of the brightly woven hammock and counted the empty brown bottles all lined up neat in a row, stuck in the sand beside me. Maybe I'd had too many already. I heard something, footfalls nearly swallowed by the sound of the waves, and squinted in the dark. I made out the shape of someone approaching, and I wondered who would be coming out to see me this late at night. The main building of the hotel was far up the beach, a good 10-minute hike. I could see its colorful lights between palm fronds swaying limply in the feeble breeze. During the off-season in the summer months, the cluster of one-room huts nestled in the tiny cove were always deserted, and I treasured the absolute solitude I sought out there, year after year. I thought for a moment that it might be Richard, the son of the couple who owned the run-down old hotel. Maybe a call had come in for me. Maybe there was an emergency. But when I saw that the approaching figure carried a suitcase, I frowned. Another hotel guest. It felt like an invasion of privacy. I picked up my book and opened it, hoping that the newcomer would take the hint and leave me to my seclusion. However, curiosity got the better of me when I heard them fumbling with their key, trying to force open the aged, salt-rusted lock. A man, mid-length hair, thin but well-built and tall, probably taller than me. I could see a tattoo on his shoulder through the sweat-soaked white t-shirt. As he wrestled with the door to the neighboring hut, I lay there, undecided as to whether I should offer my help. When he glanced over at me, his brow creased in frustration, I wasn't quick enough in averting my gaze, and our eyes met. I knew that face. He knew mine, too. It was obvious in the way that his eyes lit up, and he offered me a crooked grin. "Do they all stick like this?" he asked, his German accent somewhat softened by years of acting in English. We'd worked together once, long, long ago, back before either of us had any level of fame. Instead of answering, I just nodded. I slapped a mosquito that had landed on my arm and turned my eyes back to the book in my hands. Rudie Brower. Handsome and talented, he was often cast as a hero or the love interest of a sophisticated leading lady. As far as neighbors went, I could definitely have done worse. However, I was still in my own headspace, not ready to break the silence I had cultivated these past weeks. I couldn't remember the last time I had spoken out loud, and I felt mildly angry over the desecration of my sphere of quiet. I heard what sounded like a mumbled curse, and just as I looked up, the lock finally gave, sending the loosely hinged door crashing against the wall. Rudie smiled sheepishly at me. "Sorry," he said, lifting a hand. "I will bother you no more, I promise. It was a long, terrible flight. I will leave you to your reading. Good night, James." I nodded at him again, and he hefted his suitcase, disappearing into the little whitewashed hut. The lights went on, and through the thin, sun-bleached curtains, I could see him looking around the small space. It would be the same as mine, an ancient queen-sized bed, a tiny bathroom, a counter with a camp stove, and a bar fridge that would alternate between barely cooling and thoroughly freezing. My interest in a cold beer was renewed with that thought, and I climbed awkwardly out of the hammock to go fetch one. As I stood blindly groping around in the dark for the bottle opener, I saw through the kitchen window that Rudie had stripped off his sweaty t-shirt. Standing in the middle of his room, he stretched his arms behind his back a few times.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?